Wendy Davis is running against Greg Abbott in Texas. It's for United States Senate. And she ran a tough ad against him. Greg Abbott happens to be disabled. He's in a wheelchair. They mentioned that in the ad. I'm going to show you that in a second. Afterwards, of course, all heads exploded. The Republicans are furious. Washington is mad. How could a Democrat do this? This is outrageous. Let's show you the outrageous ad.
A tree fell on Greg Abbott. He sued and got millions. Since then, he spent his career working against other victims. Abbott argued a woman whose leg was amputated was not disabled because she had an artificial limb. He ruled against a rape victim who sued a corporation for failing to do a background check on a sexual predator. He sided with a hospital that failed to stop a dangerous surgeon who paralyzed patients. Greg Abbott, he's not for you.
All right, so did you see the outrageous part there? They showed his wheelchair, or a wheelchair, in the beginning of the ad. Now, you can't say that the pointing out his hypocrisy is outrageous. It would be outrageous not to point it out, right? So should she have put that wheelchair in the ad? Look, as a matter of what's right and wrong, I would have left it out because you don't need it. And all it does anyway, if you care about politics, is it gives sympathy to Greg Abbott. Now, of course, the Republicans have taken this and turned it around and said, what a grotesque human being. Making fun of him because he's disabled. But wait a minute, she didn't say that. She said he was hypocritical, that even though he got helped. And by the way, wait a minute, I thought Republicans were for tort reform. Turns out when they get hurt, they want $10 million. Show me the money, Lebowski, right? So I think I combined two different film quotes there. Okay, so they're going to go on there and be outraged. Sean Hannity, take it away.
It has to be one of the most disgusting political attack ads of this election cycle. Texas Democratic gubernatorial candidate Wendy Davis, who is badly trailing in this race, has released a new ad using a wheelchair to criticize her opponent, Greg Abbott, who is partially paralyzed.
See, they love this, man. Now they get to play the victim card. Oh, my God. Democrats are so vicious. Us poor Republicans would never do anything like that. Except, by the way, when Max Cleland, who was running in Georgia, who was a senator at the time, was running for re-election, Saxby Chambliss ran ads suggesting that he was soft on terrorism and that he was too soft on Osama bin Laden. Max Cleland was also in a wheelchair. That's because he had lost 3 limbs fighting for the United States in Vietnam. Now, Chambliss, of course, had not done likewise, but it didn't matter. He's a chicken hawk. And he said Cleland's too soft on national security. Lost 3 limbs for this country. When the Republicans did that, it's perfectly fine. When Wendy Davis says, hey, wait a minute, I'm glad you got your justice and the reward that I think you needed to get, but why didn't you help others in your situation? Why did you do the opposite? Outrageous, hideous. So now Greg Abbott's going to come on there and play the victim role as well.
Probably one of the more shocking ads. What is your reaction to this, sir?
Listen, my reaction is that if she wants to attack a guy in a wheelchair, that's her prerogative. As for me, I'm running a different type of campaign. I'm running a campaign that's focused on solving the problems of Texans, like securing the border, keeping Texas #1 for jobs, continue fighting against Barack Obama's EPA that's crushing jobs in Texas. So I will focus on the future of Texas while my opponent continues to attack me.
He says, if she wants to attack a guy in a wheelchair, that's fine. But dude, you're in a wheelchair and you're her opponent. Is she not allowed to attack you at all? Well, I got to be able to criticize you for your record, don't I? Look, again, you want to show the wheelchair, you don't want to show the wheelchair. That can go either way, okay? But the substance of the ad has been totally lost on everyone here. Of course, on Fox News, purposely so. Like, if you watch that, it would seem like she ran an ad saying, Greg Abbott is in a wheelchair. Ha ha. But she didn't say that. You saw the ad. All right. One more from Abbott here.
For those that don't know, you are in a wheelchair.
I'm in a wheelchair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what happened is I was out jogging and a big tree crashed down on me, fractured my vertebrae and leaving me paralyzed. But it was after that I went on to become a Supreme Court Justice and Texas Attorney General. And I got to tell you, Sean, this is a source of great inspiration for so many people across Texas because they see that a person like myself can face challenges and rise above those challenges. That is what I stand for and fight for our fellow Texans.
I love these guys. Can you believe she said I was in a wheelchair? I'm in a wheelchair. Let me tell you all about how I'm in a wheelchair. All right, and finally, look, the thing to focus on is the hypocrisy. Rick Santorum, former U.S. Senator, look, he ran for president, did fairly well in 2012, right? He said, strictly for tort reform, you should not be able to sue for over $250,000. When his wife had back problems after surgery, they sued the doctor for $500,000, and they won. When they asked Santorum, wait a minute now, this looks like it's unbelievable hypocrisy on your part, he said, no, but that's my wife. Oh, I'm sorry. And now Republicans say all the time, look, man, sometimes a tree falls on you, right? That's tough luck. There's nothing you can do about that. He sued the homeowner. I don't know the case. Maybe he was right. I have no idea. That was all the way back in 1984. But we protect his right to do that because maybe the homeowner was negligent. He got $10 million for it. And then he goes and does a career where he represents the people that are trying to prevent lawsuits like that. Oh, doctor operated on you, screwed you up, as in the cases that Wendy Davis's ad mentions. Haha, sorry. I'm going to make sure that the doctors in the hospital pay you nothing, even though they were negligent. Well, that's my job.
Why this wheelchair ad? I know the thrust of the ad, talking to your people, your supporters, was to point out what you see as the hypocrisy of Greg Abbott. But do you think that the graphic showing the empty wheelchair, focusing on his being wheelchair bound, crossed a line?
Andrea, this ad really is about one thing and one thing only. It is the fact that Greg Abbott was at the receiving end of a tragic accident, and he was able to receive justice for himself when he sued a homeowner and a tree company after a tree fell on him. He received millions of dollars in a settlement. And since then, in his entire public service career, he has been working to kick that ladder down and deny that same opportunity for justice to other people. And the important thing about this ad is that voters now see Greg Abbott for who he is. And of course, in an election, that's entirely the point.
What did you want her to do? Not point out the hypocrisy? Look, the guy said in one of the cases, Greg Abbott did, well, the person that's suing here is not really disabled because she now has an artificial limb. Could you imagine if they made the same argument against him? I mean, you've got a wheelchair, you can roll around. Are you really disabled? No. When it comes to him, gimme, gimme, gimme. When it comes to you guys, no, I'm going to make more money representing the guys to make sure that you, the corporations, to make sure you don't get any money. Should you point out that hypocrisy? Fuck yeah, you should.